there'd be nothing. The police wouldn't assist you in any way whatsoever. Because once you're on a motorcycle in New York, you're in another class of citizen, you know. So that is a little bit sad, you know. And that might deter some riders, and I don't blame them, because why would you want to ride in a place where you're considered a second-class citizen? You're considered like a criminal, or you're not respected as a regular motorist. So you're not going to be seen as a regular motorist. You're not going to be protected under the law. All that stuff is, you know, it's different. Where people spit on you and stuff, you know, it's not an easy task to lane split here all the time. But given all the circumstances, it definitely does not make sense to be riding a motorcycle as a car. That I can confirm 100%. That's actually more dangerous, believe it or not. But I've had like old guys, like I had some old guy one time, and I'm not a young guy either, but I've had like some old guy. Actually, he wasn't even that old. He was maybe like 10 years older than me. But he was on a Goldwing, big fucking Goldwing, like with big trunk on the back, like the size of a Honda Civic. And he stood up on his Goldwing as he was coming past me and said, you give us a bad name. And I was like, I just shook my head. I'm like, what am I going to say to someone like that? Like, how do you even talk with someone like that? First of all, I don't even know you, and you find it okay to come up next to me and say, you're giving us a bad name. You know, that's insane, man. Like, I don't see anything justified in that. Like, I didn't go near him. I wasn't bothering him at all. I was just lane splitting, just like this. And then he came up alongside me and said, "You're giving us a bad name." Which I thought was really weird. Like, I personally, if I saw somebody driving crazy on a bike or whatever, even if they were doing something out of line, I don't know that person. I wouldn't even ever talk to them or state my opinion to them without them asking for it, you know. If someone came up to me and said, "Hey, what'd you think of that ride?" Well, then that's a little bit different, but for someone to pull alongside and be like, "Hey, you're giving us a bad name." It was in Jersey, you know. I mean, the guy, it was like by Paramus, New Jersey, you know. There was a real jam up, and I was just splitting along. And he took the shoulder. He was so adamant that what I was doing was fucked up that he rode along the shoulder to come up alongside of me to tell me, "You're giving us a bad name." Real weird, you know. I wouldn't even think of doing something like that. But this is a prime example like this when traffic slows like that. If you were to drive your motorcycle as a car, that is extremely unsafe, because if somebody happened to be driving behind and gets distracted, or even not even messing with their phone, they just happen to be looking at something, and then all of a sudden, wham, they run into the back of you. That would F your day up bad, man. I mean, you might be paralyzed from something like that. Whereas when you're riding around New York City roads, if you're taking them as a person, you know, riding a motorcycle and doing your thing, I'm not flying here. You know, I'm going here, I'm doing 25 miles an hour. You know, this is slow traffic and I'm doing 25 miles an hour. and you're not going to die from like a little fender bender if someone comes over on you. But you will if someone squeezes you from behind and you're sitting like a car and you get smashed by a big truck or something, or a big SUV, and they happen to look up and you're right there and they ram into you, you know, doing anything faster than 30 miles an hour, you're probably not going to make it. And that's not something that would happen if you're splitting here. So that's where people lose that. They have a misconception that they think that it's so unsafe to lane split. But really what will happen is, they've determined this in California, lane splitting, actually, the accidents that happen when someone's lane splitting is actually quite minor. You get these deflection accidents. Now, if you're fucking around with one of these trucks here and they don't see you and they run you over, that's a different story. I don't know what the stats are on that, but you gotta use common sense, you know. If you're next to a truck and there's a car that's fucking with you, it's time to just back off, find another way. Because if that truck doesn't see you, it's going to be a really, really bad problem for you. You know, if that truck doesn't see you. But these types of lane splitting here, like if someone accidentally doesn't see you and comes over on you, it's a deflection accident. So you may bounce off that car and bounce into another car, and actually you might not go down because you're deflecting off of other vehicles that you're in between. Now if someone opens a door, you have to be ready for that, you know. Some people might open the door to throw something out. They might not even be intending on fucking with you. Or they might actually want to fuck with you. You never know in New York, you know? Someone might come over on you. And that guy was very nice. That's a rarity right there. I've seen some New York riders, you can tell that they think it's cool. Well, not cool. They get this idea that it's okay to drive on the shoulder. That's actually not good. And that'll get you a ticket in California. If you're on the 405 or the 101 and you pop onto the shoulder, that's a definite ticket. Like, you could be slipping like this in tight traffic, and then you decide I want to jump on the shoulder. That'll be the one really bad decision for you, because we get a motorcycle cop that'll come after you for that. They don't like that at all. heavy traffic here, man. Wow. This Van Wyck is a nightmare, man. There's a lot of people moving out to Queens, you know, because you get a little more space out here. But this is like, this is rough, man. Now that's a prime example right there. That trucker has no intention of letting me in here. He doesn't want to let go. Yeah, that's some tight squeeze stuff there. Real tight squeeze Van Wyck traffic. But there's so many people moving out to Queens that this is just jammed like this every day.